So I think we had such a wonderful discussion last week. I'm so excited about learning about what came about after that, what you experienced last week because of that discussion. I want you to know that I did get in touch with Cadence, and I shared with her the fact that her comment that she thought was so simple, as Linnell shared later near the end of our group, she shared that here Cadence had this comment that she made that she thought was insignificant and that she wasn't experienced enough or prepared enough to really have anything to say. But that comment she made and her vulnerability opened up this amazing discussion that we had last week. So it was just incredible. I hope the rest of you felt lingering effects from that discussion all during this whole week. It was just lovely. So any thoughts this morning before we get right into it? We've got plenty of time. So if anybody had something they wanted to share, now is a fabulous time. And Michaela, all week I was trying to remember your last name. I couldn't remember. Okay, Michaela Gibson. I try to remember all the names so that if I encounter you out, on Facebook or Instagram or anything, I remember you and can, make that connection. Also, I want to make sure that as we're all getting on here this morning, we recognize a couple of faces that can be very helpful resources for you. There is Rachel Stevens, who just came on, and she has a new group on Facebook and a wonderful resource for you moms. And Rachel, you at a point where you can share a little bit of that for a sec? Okay, hold on. I got to take you off of mute. I'm sorry. There you go.
Yeah. So the group is made for moms using Well-Educated Heart. I mean, I'm happy with any homeschoolers too, but I just want kids to be able to share. I was a public school teacher, and I just like the experience that my kids are having. I'm feeling sad for them only in the way that they aren't really able to share as much with other kids, because I think that happens more in the classroom naturally, like they hang up their pictures that they made, and so I think it's really important that kids share with each other. And also the group, so the kids can share with each other, and then I want to invite people to come on that are really good at something so they can model a talent or maybe a gift that they have that they want to share with the kids, just something that the kids can be inspired by. So
I think that's such a great idea. Now, am I going to get this right? Is it W-E-H, and then that H is part of the word heart? So W-E heart share, is that correct?
Yeah, so yeah, it's like Well-Educated Heart share. Oh, there you go. Yep.
That's right.
Or you can say we heart share, right?
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
Because we're sharing our hearts. So
you're a group on Facebook, and you do a bi-monthly meeting? Is that right?
So two times a month we get on there, and kids can share anything. They don't have to sign up or anything. They can share something they played on the piano. They can share something they drew. They can share something that you learned together as a family, even maybe that you're all excited about. Maybe you all just planted seeds in the garden. You can take us out there, right? Because it's on Zoom, so we can go anywhere with you. You can share whatever you want.
Yeah, they could share how many hours they've spent outside.
Yeah.
Things like that. I've been asking my friends that. Now it's a certain Tuesday every month and a certain Thursday. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it's Thursday, the 1st of the month, and then Tuesday, the 3rd. So I had moms vote, and it was tied between Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I just decided to one Tuesday and one Thursday in the month.
That's nice. That's so nice that you did that. So that makes that more accessible. I love it. My kids, I've talked to them about it, and they're game to come on sometime and share. So we'll have to work that out.
Yeah, I also am trying to see if I can get Marlene to come play her heart for the kids. So
yeah, that's a great idea.
And also, if I can in the future, if I can get more people to come, I have a list of people that dress up like the founding fathers and Pocahontas. And I would love to have like one of them come on, and just the kids can ask them questions and like, what is it like to live in a log cabin, Abraham Lincoln, or I don't know.
Right.
So
Right.
I just want the sharing to happen in a lot of different ways, that we're just excited to share what we're learning, and that my kids can see that there's other kids like in Texas or New York or wherever they live, they're learning the same things that my kids are. So I want them to be able to see that.
Yeah, it makes those connections,
Mhm.
definitely. And I think it is inspiring to see other people share their talents. And it could be moms too, you know, we
Mhm.
could be inspired by each other and that heart learning, you know, that it continues. We're still doing it. We're still moving forward. In fact, I think I mentioned to Kristen and Amy, both of them have kids that are very talented, and that might be good also for them to pop on for you. Just,
Yeah.
you know, to get that all moving. Okay, good. Well, good for you. I'm glad
And
that you did that.
and anyone that you know too that you feel like would be willing to share and come on, I would love to have anyone, any kind of unique talent or ordinary. I don't mind, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, good. So moms, you heard that. You're invited now to share this We Heart Share resource that Rachel Stevens has started, and invite friends and family to join in. So thank you so much, Rachel. And if you mamas didn't know already, Rachel's the one that has created a couple of videos that give examples for those of you moms who are trying to use the Well-Educated Heart resources in your teaching of your children, whether that's because you're homeschooling your kids or your kids are in public school or private school or any combination of that, but you want to include some of this heart learning with your kids. Rachel's got some really good tips on how to organize that so that it lines up and makes sense for you. So anyway,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. And then we have also joining us today, Laura Lyons. And some of you I know have taken advantage of her very kind offer and that free email that she sends out. She sends 5 emails one day at a time that have helpful tips on creating resilient kids. So if you have taken advantage of that resource, that is Laura. And I don't know if Laura is close to her microphone or not, if that's something that she can, oh, good.
Yeah,
Laura, do you want to share for a moment?
Yeah, hang on. There we go.
Hey,
Hi.
hello.
Yeah, so I'm not sure specifically what you want me to say about that. I'm a certified life coach, and I coach moms on confidence with their kids. Just a little bit about my story. My child is a highly emotional child, and from the time he was like 4 or 5, when he first was like really young, he feels his emotions really intensely and deeply. And he would feel pain, struggle with like shame and just self-hatred anytime he did anything wrong, to the point where he would just want to die. And we struggled with that for years, not knowing how to help him. And then I struggled with depression, and we were both just kind of in our own dark place and really just struggling in that way. And then I found coaching, and the coaching skills helped me be able to take control of my thoughts and emotions, combined with medication. Like I definitely was getting help there as well, but then I was able to wean off of it and really just take control of my emotions and be emotionally resilient, and gain so many skills that I was then able to teach him in a childlike, simple way through analogies and just fun activities and things. And that's where those 5 lessons came from. And I'm actually I'm continuing, I'm always adding more. So I will have more resources as they come. But yeah, I offer that for free just to help moms with their kids, especially with so many emotionally struggling kids, not necessarily highly emotional children, but just right now with, just the circumstances.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm just putting that out there. Okay, so we will remind you moms of these 2 resources in an email. And did you notice this is 2 weeks in a row that I sent an email out during the week? So I want some major credit for that, because that is just thank you. That's so hard for me, and I don't know why. It's just that it's Thursday all of a sudden. We were just chatting, and then it's Thursday, and I Okay, so if you want the email, you can put your email address out there. If you don't want it just right out there to everybody, you can send it to me personally, in the chat, change it from everyone to me, send that to me, and then change your chat back to everyone. But if you don't mind it being out there, then it shows up in my recording of the chat. Perfect. I'm gonna, in fact, Rachel, I'm gonna put yours down right now so that I don't forget to do that. And then Amanda, I'll get you on there. Cadence, wonderful. And Cadence, welcome. So you got to see after you watched the recording from last week that we talked about you a bit after you left us. Oh, she's eating. Yeah, we'll let you eat. And but Cadence, thank you. Thank you for what you brought last week. Thank you for your honesty. And I love how Linnell sums up everything that we're talking about and can keep thoughts, nicely lined up in her head and says things so beautifully. But she really did describe well what you brought to our group last Friday and how that initiated this wonderful discussion we had. So thank you so much. So you see, by small and simple things, great things are brought to pass. That just keeps coming up for me over and over and over again. How about you? What do you ladies want to share? I'm going to let you talk for a minute while I write down these email addresses. And you don't have to have anything amazing to say. Do I say anything amazing? We just share. And as we share, we come across truths and we support one another and we remind each other that, oh, hey, there's somebody else out there experiencing the same kinds of things that I am and feeling the same kinds of ways that I feel sometimes. And I'm not alone. I loved also last week when Linnell talked about, and it just gave me such a beautiful image, about us linking arms, and I love that. And I feel that. Do you feel that? Do you feel that feeling? I mean, I think you do. I think that's why we come back. We're busy. We have all kinds of stuff going on. When else in your week do you just stop what you're doing and participate in something like this, that says something about what we're getting from this time of being together? Sorry, I said I was going to turn it over to you, and I really am.
I wanted to share something sweet that happened this week. So I've been trying to do poetry tea time, and it just ends up being this huge mess, and I get really stressed out. And it's not how I picture it, being, oh, it's lovely tea time. There's always something, a spill. And now I'm coming to realize, okay, that's normal, and still enjoy it anyway. But so we got out the stuff to have some herbal tea, and then my son, who's 6 years old, said, Mom, I'll go get some poetry. And I was just like, oh, he remembers and he's excited about it. I was like, oh, this is great. So I wanted to share that.
That's huge. And I love that. I love that just very natural, genuine response and enthusiastic response. And how fun for you. My first attempt at that was, ew, they didn't like herbal tea. So, okay, there we go. But that's all right. We moved on to punch and that kind of solved the problem. But okay, what else? Who else? Making sure I got everybody. I think I did.
Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. So I've been pointing out, just like focusing on birds this month and stuff. So we've like watercolored some birds and talked about like what they sound like. And then you shared something about, I don't know where you posted it on Facebook, how you can click on the birds and they make noises. So we've just been like really aware of like how the birds all sound different. And what kind of bird do you think that is? And I'll listen to them and we'll be out and I'll like, oh, that's a cool sound. And then first thing this morning, Max runs in and goes, Mom, that bird just said, like he came in and like mimicked the bird. It was so cute. I just thought, oh, like now they're aware and they're like listening, like and observing, and I don't know. I just love our little focus on birds this month.
Oh, I love that. Birds are my favorite. I just love going outside and hearing the birds sing. And I think it's a wonderful thing to teach your children to be able to tune into that. But it's an even better thing for you to teach yourself, because we get so easily distracted and caught up in stuff. And to be able to pull ourselves out for a second and be aware and present, that concept of being present. And the more we are, the more our kids are. And I love that. I love that my kids still, as they're grown up, they'll come in and mom, you got to see, whatever it is. And they'll take me outside to see whatever it is that's outside that they've just,
I have something.
Yeah, Rachel.
Speaking of spending lots of time outside, we've been trying to do that too. And I feel like you get different things throughout the day. So if you just went out in the afternoon, then you would miss the morning. Just the feeling of the air is different. And then the bird songs are different. There's different birds singing. And then the evening, the robins, you hear them sing, at least here, you hear a lot of them. And then I take my dog out to go to the bathroom right before we go to bed, and it's quiet. There's no birds, but I get the stillness of the night and beautiful stars above me. So it's like all throughout the day, you get different wonderful things to experience. So
yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Anybody else on that or anything else? Yeah, I'm sorry I was so late this morning. I forgot that I hadn't started it. I usually start the meeting early, and then I run and do whatever leftover things I have to do. And I forgot. So I come in here like at a minute till and start it. Sorry about that. Had you guys all scared.
I'll share something about birds.
Wonderful.
We came home this morning from an appointment, and when we pulled into the garage, there was a pair of geese in my neighbor's yard, and one was laying on the ground and another was off to the side standing up. And so I pointed it out. Actually, I think it was my son who pointed it out to us, and he said, "Mama, look, it's a mommy laying her eggs." And then my husband pointed out, yeah, and that's the daddy standing watch, protecting her. So we have this image in our minds of a mommy goose, and I don't know if that's really what was happening, but this is what we think. Yeah. So there was the mom who was lying down, and then the dad who was standing watch. And I loved that image of father protects and mother nurtures. And then we pulled into the driveway and we were getting the kids out. And by the time we came out of the garage, because we were going to play outside, they had moved. So the mom was now in our yard and the dad was just a ways away standing watch. And so we thought that she was going to lay some eggs there in the neighbor's yard. But then when she came into our yard, we were excited to be able to watch that. Maybe she's going to lay some eggs in our yard. So for a whole hour, we were watching this pair of birds. And after a little bit, we just stayed there to watch. And after a little bit, the mom stood up and she was kind of limping a little bit. And as I continued to watch them, because it was about an hour long, what I learned from nature, it was very heartwarming to me. It was beautiful to watch. And what I gathered was that maybe the dad was just a little ways away, leading her along, that he would allow her some rest, because actually she was limping when she got up. She was limping a little bit, and I was a little bit worried for her. I was like, oh no, maybe she got hurt. I don't know what happened to her. My son said, oh no, Mama, it's just because she needs to lay her eggs, and that's how she walks when she has a lot of eggs to lay. It was really sweet and tender. I don't know if that's really, it makes me want to learn more about them and understand them, because I don't know anything about them. I've been watching eagles and learning about how eagles nest and know a little bit about that. And I've been seeing some pictures about ducks and how they do their courting flights. And so just this mating season, this nesting season has gotten me really curious. So anyways, as I watched them, I feel like the dad was protective and watching, standing guard, but also he would let her rest a little bit. And then when it was time, he would kind of communicate to her and walk a little bit forward. And eventually he crossed the street and she followed him. And it was so sweet to watch how he led her along and she took her time and he was patient and then she followed him. So about 3 times they would move together from the neighbor to my house to across the street. They even crossed the road. And I love being out in nature for what it can teach me, to just sit and watch and enjoy, and then to take lessons for my own life. And it makes me want to be a better follower. It makes me want to trust my husband's lead a little bit more, to allow him to protect me, to allow him to stand guard. And it was heartwarming to see how their example inspired me and made me want to improve my relationship with my husband and with my children.
I love that. That's beautiful. And like Lindsay put in the comments, nature is God's university. There are so many lessons to learn from a simple encounter like that. And you've gone through and enumerated some of those lessons, just in your comments about it. And then just the fact that your family took an hour out of their day and just sat and watched and observed nature, and took lessons from it that are there. I love that. I love it. Okay, we've, let me see. Okay, no, you're so funny, Rachel. Well, you were too afraid to say this in person. Let me see what you're gonna say. I have a question, and I know I will be a ball baby if I ask it live. Oh, I gotcha. I have kids that span quite a few years. My oldest is almost 17. My youngest is almost 7. We are very new to the Well-Educated Heart, and I love the things I'm learning so much. I am just realizing it all takes time to implement. And some kids have more open hearts than others. Oh, the boy, is that ever true? I'm feeling so sorrowful that it is so late in the game for my older kids and that they will never quite have the heartwarming that I so wish they could. Now, right there is, that's not quite true. And we'll talk about that. I have felt, but I understand what you're saying. I have felt a heaviness this week that there is so little time left. And I worry that I have let them down as a mother. Has anyone else felt this? I just sent a message to a mother this morning and invited her to come because she's having those same thoughts. I would love some advice for how to overcome those feelings of failure. And then Jennifer Holiday, I'm right there with you. My oldest is 17 and my youngest is 7. So you are not alone in that, Rachel. Not at all. And I'm just looking to see who else is here. I can't remember all the stories. I know we have, I invited Monica to come also today, Monica Rogers, and she's on, and she's a new mom to join. There you go. You never stop being a mother and your influence never ceases. Thank you, Monica. That one truth you've got to put in your heart. If you're coming to Well-Educated Heart late, it is fine. It's wonderful. The principles that are here, the changes that makes to you in just weeks. I mean, seriously, just a couple of weeks, the changes that happen as you're embracing this, really fully embracing it, that is going to affect everybody around you. It doesn't matter the ages of your children. It really doesn't. And those that seem like they're just not open to it, their hearts are not warm. They just don't know how to embrace that yet is all, or they're a little rough around the edges and they're not quite sure how to share that with you, that they're actually open to it, that it's actually making a difference. But you'll start seeing the effects of it. I don't know if Amy Parker's going to be able to join us today. She had an appointment last week and couldn't, but she's been noticing these incredible changes with her teenagers. That she thought also that, well, better late than never, and I'll get out of it what I can, and maybe my youngest will benefit from it. But even from her teenagers that she thought, well, there's, it's not going to make a difference. It just isn't going to be able to get in there. There's not time. She said, oh my goodness, just the other day, she just came up to me and gave me a hug out of the blue, and just wanted to hang out with me. Those little things, which are not so little to our mama hearts, but those little things are the indicators that it's making a difference. It's getting in, they're feeling something. So more comments about this.
I have a comment
Okay, Rachel.
again.
No, that's good.
So, I mean, I hope it is helpful and relates a little bit, but I have a nerve problem. So I'm starting to lose balance and feeling in my hands and feet. And so a couple of years ago, I tried to figure out what to do, and I did a lot of praying, and I learned that diet could help a lot, but also I started to do ballet, and I danced ballet when I was like 6, but I kind of gave it up because people said I wasn't a good dancer. And I didn't always like the outfits that you had to wear with dance because I'm really modest. But anyway, so I think my sister kind of made fun of me, like, you're doing ballet, isn't that for little girls? The reason I did is because I really needed to find some exercise that I wanted to do and that helped me. It helped improve my balance. It helped make my muscles strong as I'm continually feeling weaker and weaker. So it's kind of like me fighting against that happening as I do ballet. And I did it at a studio about a year ago, and I did it at home too. And there's tons of home videos that you can use. But anyway, this isn't about ballet, but I'm just saying, like, it's never too late. I'm not going to be a ballerina. I don't need to go to college and go dance on stage. I'm not trying to do that. But I think, like, just what it does to me, like how it makes my body feel. And then I feel like workouts that sometimes maybe make your body stronger, make your spirit weaker, because the music is poor and it's harmful to your spirit. But like ballet, the music is beautiful and just the whole experience is amazing for me. And no, I'm not dancing on a stage in Swan Lake, but I'm taking the benefits as an adult. And I didn't have to do it as a child. And so I think any time is a good time to jump in and whatever you want to do. I also started to become a gardener. And this was all because of Well-Educated Heart. I started doing ballet. I started to garden. And I started with nothing. Like, my parents didn't garden. Anyway, so I think you can start from nowhere or nothing, and then you can just start wherever you are. Anytime. It's never too late. So
Perfect comment, perfect example. I love that, Rachel. Thank you for sharing. And Lindsay, I'm going to bring you right back on. Watkins.
I was absorbed in her comment. I forgot mine. I think for me, it's just, I think of my kids when they're little, not even when they're little, because mine's 10 and 8. And I think of them as mirrors. They're reflecting what we are. And it's hard when we're changing who we are. And right now they're currently reflecting who I was, and it may not be the best reflection that I want right now, but I can change that, and it's going to start changing. That's how I keep trying to think of my kids. And I mean, mine are a perfect reflection of my sarcastic little personality. And I had a very hard heart for so many years. And like I said, they just are that perfect image of that. And as I've been working and trying to replace the cold-heartedness and warming myself and teaching myself, I do catch little glimpses of that reflection changing in my kids. My little girl's always said she wants to be a teacher. She wants to be a teacher. And all I could think of is public school teacher. And no offense to that, because they do their best. But for me, we didn't have great experiences. So I'm just like, red flag, don't do that. Don't do that. Be someone else. And she said, Mom, I don't want to teach like they teach in school. I want to teach kids who want to learn what they want to learn. I want to teach kids to be happy. And she said, and I know there's not schools out there for that, so I'm going to need you to build me one.
Oh.
And my heart just exploded because she saw, we're going to crack this whole session. she sees the difference in the way we're trying to learn and the way we're trying to, but she had so much confidence in me that I could build that for her. And that to me just makes me think, okay, it's not going to be too late. It's not going to be too late. They can definitely have the reflection changed, and pretty soon they're going to become the mirrors for their kids. So as long as we've done and are doing continually what we should be doing, it's just going to keep going. And for those of you who aren't not members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on this call, little reference to the temple, and that just made me think of in the ceiling room when we have the mirrors that are facing each other, and it just is continual, both directions. It's never too late, because we're going to keep passing down that reflection. And so just keep doing what you're doing, and it's going to flow over. Rachel, we love you. We're all crying today, so I'm glad you put your face back on the camera.
We can do it together. Yes, that's just these reflections of eternity. Reflections of eternity. You know, you want your children to grow up to be good adults, not necessarily to grow up to be good children. You know, you want them to still be childlike and have all those qualities, but you want them to grow up to be good adults. So now that you're warming your heart, now that you're learning about, oh my goodness, if I warm my heart, it makes such a big difference to my family and everyone around me. And like Rachel, if I warm my heart, I start doing new things, trying new things and learning new things. Well, what a great example that is for your children to see you continuing to learn and to grow and to develop. And that's going to be this wonderful example for them of how to do adulthood, you know, and that's what they're going to need. So, oh my goodness, don't ever, any of you mamas, don't worry about starting late. Don't worry about all the mistakes that we have made up to this point, because we have, you know, we're human. We move forward. And as we move forward and as we are trying, no, God really does make up the difference. He really does, in ways that you just don't understand how he works. You know, this whole ballet thing, I'm just going to go back. Jennifer says, oh my gosh, you're speaking my language. I was a ballerina when I was younger, and then I let people tell me I should stop, and then I wasn't any good. How many of us have had an experience like that? Mine was with singing, and so I stopped singing, and I loved to sing. I'm now trying to start again, but do it in a way on my own, in a way that nurtures my body and my heart. And my sister-in-law, Kristen, were you, now I don't know if you were coming over to share, were you coming over to share about Reagan or, okay, because I was just going to share about Reagan. So her daughter, Reagan, my niece, she did ballet, and she wanted, oh, I'm going to not remember it, but she always wanted to get into toe shoes, you know, like that was a thing she really wanted, but she didn't. She kind of chickened out. She got nervous, and she was busy, and she, you know, had lots of reasons, but she stopped, you know, like the year before that or something. And just this past year, she and a friend made a pact together, and they've gone back to practicing ballet. So she said, I don't know how long it'll take me, but, you know, I have this goal. So I love that. I love it. I think it's wonderful. Don't hesitate to take those little secret dreams that you have inside and try to find a way to make it a reality, even if it's just in a small way. You know, you want to go and see the beautiful paintings that are in museums, you know, across the world. Well, you know, thanks to 2020, there are virtual tours available to go almost anywhere you want to go in the world and see amazing, incredible things, you know. So find your way to do the things that warm your heart, nurture your soul, feed you, so that can then spill over and bless the lives of those around you. I just love that. Okay, who's sharing next? Sharing, not share run. Oh, just so you guys know, hold on, where did she go? She's still here. Monica Rogers and I had a lovely heart-to-heart yesterday. She lives in Ohio, if I remember correctly, and her kids were so cute. She went outside so that she could have some quiet, right? So that we could chat. And it was raining. So here she's putting on rain jacket and her hood and everything. She goes to stand outside so we can talk. And within minutes, little faces are peeking into the camera, and they all come out to join her where she was. And then I was telling them I was so jealous because they had rain and it just looked so beautiful and everything. And so I was showing them my backyard. And so then they had to show me their backyard or their front yard. Oh my goodness, it's green everywhere. It's just beautiful. Hi, Ruby girl. It's just fun. It's fun to connect with you moms, but we all are feeling unsure. It doesn't matter whether we are, homeschooling our kids, like I said, whether we are private school, charter school, public school, we don't have kids at home anymore. It doesn't matter where we are. We all are in need of nurturing our hearts, finding ways to warm our own hearts so that we feel better about what we're doing. We understand more about our place here and the powerful influence that we have, that we can make on those around us. Rachel, what did you just share with us? Tell me.
It's a TED talk about why ballet is brilliant. And there's a retired ballerina. She was really good, but she hated dancing on stage, and she realized her calling in life was to teach ballet. And so I think she goes to, I think it's Africa, I can't remember, but she teaches women how to do ballet and how it changes their life. Anyway, it's good. But I think it's with anything, just like you were talking about, like art, just whatever you want to get into, it's not too late. And when your kids see you doing those things, they'll want to do it, things like that too.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Well, so I brought this upstairs and I thought, why are you bringing this? And I thought, I don't know, I'm supposed to bring this. So now I really want to learn how to draw and paint. So I know I need to start with drawing. I understand the steps, whatever, but a friend gifted this to me, and it was just a paint by number, but I did it and I did the whole thing. And I feel like an artist, because I have this painting. So I'm actually going to frame it and I'm going to hang it up.
That is beautiful.
Isn't it pretty?
Yes.
And it's my creative, attempt. And I feel really good about the fact that I actually finished it, because I have around my house so many started projects, lots of opportunities to do things, but I actually finished it. And I'm so excited about that. But it made me feel like, okay, I had a brush in my hand. I put paint on canvas and it was okay. Yes. I had guided numbers and spaces and everything, but that's okay. That was my first attempt and it made me feel good about that. Yeah, thank you. So be brave. And even if you just take a tiny little step, someone mentioned earlier about the compound effect. Who was that? Oh, Abby. So Abby, thank you. Yes, the compound effect. Sometimes you don't see the results of your effort until later. Bit by bit, day by day, one story at a time makes all the difference in the world to that child. And I say to that person. Absolutely, Abby. So true. So I did bring today, I printed this out, and this is what I'm going to work on this week. How many of you have listened to the podcast by Brooke Snow entitled Floors and Ceilings? Somebody, I don't know who, I don't know if it was one of you or one of my sisters-in-law that told me about floors and ceilings. No, we're not even going cleaning. Nope. That's funny, Rachel. Rachel put, I thought it was a deep cleaning list you were going to show. That. Nope.
It was Brooklyn, Lori. It was Brooklyn.
It was Brooklyn. Thank you. I thought it was on our Marco Polo. So that's what it was.
It's my daughter-in-law.
Okay. She's so beautiful. She's such a wonderful, wonderful mama. Okay. My Brooklyn. Okay. Floors and Ceilings. Podcast by Brooke Snow. So anywhere you find podcasts, you can find that. So good. She says that she finally did a podcast of it. She shares it in her seminars and when she coaches people and all these different things. But she had never put it out on a podcast. So she did that. And she said, people say when they hear the concept, just when they hear the concept, they say that it changed their life. And you'll see why. It's just so simple and so amazing and wonderful and freeing, and like the guilt of setting goals and trying to change things in your life is gone, and you are successful on day one. And I'm all about being successful. We need to be able to feel good about what we're doing and feel hopeful so that we can move forward. Yep, there you go. Rachel Holloway's putting that out there. Yeah, it's Brooke Snow. She's got it ready to go. Now just don't jump off to listen to Brooke. Wait till we're done. No, seriously, that'd probably be good. But I don't want you to leave. We want to keep visiting. So anybody that has listened to that, you want to share anything? Have you done it? I know Abby. I think Abby's done it. How about, is it Andrea or Andrea Ray? I see your name on Facebook, but I don't know.
Yeah, hi, it's Andrea.
Andrea, okay. Hi, Andrea, welcome. It's nice to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, so you want me to tell you a tiny bit about it? Should we do that? You know, she tells the story about the oh, Kristen, go.
Well, I was just going to say, so my son, who's married to Brooklyn, he started a little challenge with our family. So it was with me and my husband, and then our two oldest kids and their spouses. And we had to set a floor goal and a ceiling goal for every day that we would do. And then we got points, but our points would come if we would set, as we got our floor goals every day. You know, you get a point if you got all your floor goals, which are just these basic goals. And I'll tell a little bit about that in a second. But then like we had to get 10 ceiling goals a week to get the bonus points for that. So it wasn't, and I think we had 7 goals we set. So, and so we had different categories. So we had goals for water. Well, my husband and I are both really bad at drinking enough water. And I'll be honest, part of my reason is because I don't want to go to the bathroom 25 times a day. That's been my thing. And so I just am like, I don't drink that much water, but I know I should. So, and my husband's bad about it too. And so our floor goal for water was just to fill our big Costco metal water bottles every day. If we filled our bottle, then we made our goal. And that's her whole thing, is that we always set these ceiling goals. We always set these things. I'm going to drink 80 ounces of water a day. And then we feel like we failed if we only drink 40. But the day before I only drank 5. So really drinking 40 was a great success. But we feel like we were a failure because we didn't meet our ceiling goal. And so she's saying, set these goals that seem so ridiculously easy to set. And the thing that we found is that when we filled our water bottles and met that floor goal, well, guess what we did? Because our water bottle was sitting there full, we drank water all day long because we had it there full.
Yeah, so I wanted to point out to everybody, in case they missed that, her floor goal was just to fill the water bottle, not to drink anything, just to have the water bottle.
Yeah, that was
full.
What our floor goal was. Fill our water bottle. You know, that was it. Fill our water bottle. And I love having a paper planner. I like to, I feel like it really is better for me. I'm kind of that kind of a person. But at the same time, sometimes it's better for me at night if I'll look at it and kind of plan things out for the next day. But then at the same time at night, I'm also not a night person. And so I don't like doing that. So I had a floor goal, look at my planner every day. Well, once and that was it. I just had to look at it, or every night, before I went to bed, I had to look at it. All I had to do was look at it. But one of two things would happen. Either I would sit down and go, okay, I can actually open it up and spend 30 seconds writing some things in it and getting a little bit ready for tomorrow. But even if I didn't do that, I at least thought about it. As I was going to sleep that night, I'd be thinking, okay, when I first get up, I'm going to do this. I'm going to throw a lot of laundry in so that I can, or whatever it was, you know. I really love this whole floor and ceiling goal thing. And that just the idea that giving us permission to celebrate smaller victories. I think we have this idea, we see the word goal and we feel like it has to be this huge thing we have to work for. But how often do we fail when we try and do that? I mean, I think we set ourselves up for failure when we're doing that. So that's it. But listen to the podcast. It's really good.
Thank you so much, Kristen. That was so good. Okay, so Brooklyn.
Hi.
Hi. Which Brooklyn is this? Just checking in.
This is Brooklyn
Hey,
Gabadon.
it's you. Okay, Brooklyn, this is who we were just talking about.
Hi.
We were just talking about you sharing with me floors and ceilings. So, and I'm sharing that with the group, and your sweet mother-in-law just talked about the group that you have going and your challenge. And so we're talking about floor goals right now. So welcome. It's nice to have you here.
Well, thank you.
And Clara. Okay, so what is a floor? Oh, let me tell you both. And also, hold on. Rachel made a wonderful comment here. So both Rachels, right? Rachel Stevens said, this is making me thirsty. So there she is drinking her water bottle. I don't have mine upstairs, not fair. And then Rachel Holloway says, that may very well be a part of my feeling of parental failure. I only have ceiling goals. Well, that's me. I am all about ceiling goals. Right? So I am all about failure. I mean, it's just been my pattern of my life until now. And now I am a completely new person and I am successful every single day because every day I can achieve my goals. And if for 1 year, all I hit are my floor goals, I will call that a huge success because for 1 year, I was consistent, right? Lindsay Watkins. I have untouched ceilings and spotless floors. Girls are so funny. But can you imagine that? Brooke talks about setting a goal to do yoga every day. And she said, now, I could be setting myself up for failure with that if I don't put in a floor goal. And her floor goal was 3 cat-cows. So that's just you're kneeling and you arch your back or you sway your back, right? She said it takes about 11 seconds. And she said, you know what? I reached my goal of doing yoga every day for a whole year. Now, I can't put in my mind the ceiling goals right now, or I'll put them up there, but I just can't worry about it. And if I don't reach my ceiling goals, I'm okay with that. I am shooting for my floor goals. But the thing is I feel so good about doing my things every day, that I'm consistent about the things that I set as my basic floor goals. And I feel like, oh, I am a worthy person because I honor my goals, my ideals, right? My dreams, my whatever it is that I determined was important. I've just honored that. That makes me feel good about myself and more successful. And it just, I don't know, it motivates me to move forward. Does that make sense to anybody here? Do you understand what I'm talking about when I say that?
Yes, Lori, I understand. I have an example of what you're talking about. And it has to do with Ginny's challenge. So Ginny's challenge is to do 1,000 hours. And last year I wouldn't go outside at all, like 0. So to go from 0 hours to 1,000 was really overwhelming. That would be a ceiling goal for me. But I want to share with you my chart. Here it is. And I'm at 99 hours. And tomorrow, or maybe even today, I'll reach that last 100th hour. So this is huge for me that I have made it to 100 hours, but my floor goal that I set, which I didn't use that terminology, which I really like, is that my goal was just to get outside every day. I knew that if I could just get outside, even if I go outside to take a picture of my children, because I have an Instagram account where I'm keeping myself accountable and I take a picture a day in nature. So if all it is to take a picture that I went outside to be accountable, then I have met my goal and I feel good about it. But the coolest thing is that because I'm outside, I'm looking towards 1,000 hours. And I won't be disappointed if at the end of the year I don't make 1,000 hours, because I have made so much progress by just hitting that floor goal. So I totally understand where you're coming from. And I really like this concept. It's a really cool idea to, I would say another way of putting it is kind of change our expectations of ourselves. And I've heard some things about expectations where much of our disappointment in life is because of unmet expectations. And when we can learn to either lower them or change them or adjust them, then we don't feel such high stress or failure. And so something that I wanted to comment on Rachel's comment, she was kind of expressing a feeling of failure and asked, has anyone felt that? And I have definitely felt that. So I can really relate to the feelings of failure. And that can be for anything in life, not just getting to know Well-Educated Heart later. It can be for a lot of things. And so we all experience failures. Well, I should speak for myself only. I experience feelings of failure multiple times a day. And something that has really helped me is to try to work on my mindset and perspective of how to overcome that feeling of failure. And my husband has to help me a lot through this, because I grew up with high expectations from my parents. And so anytime that I didn't meet expectations, I felt like a failure a lot. And to no fault to my parents at all, that's just something that was ingrained in me, that we shoot high and we give our best and 110%. And whenever I came short of that, it was hard for me. So what has helped for me is sometimes my husband has to walk me through it and say, you're not a horrible person. It's okay. And just repeating that in my mind, I'm not a horrible person, giving myself grace to think that it's okay, I make mistakes, it's not the end of the world. And I know a lot of times it's really hard to really believe that. It's hard to believe that it's not the end of the world. But I think just figuring out ways that you can try to overcome that feeling of failure could also really help. And I think there are two kinds of guilts. One paralyzes us and one motivates us to be better and to try to change. And so if we can focus or just kind of understand, well, what kind of guilt am I feeling? Am I feeling guilt that is paralyzing me and making me feel like a failure and I don't want to do anything? Or is this guilt where it's a good guilt that is pushing me to be better and inspiring me to change and wanting me to look for ways to be different? And I think if we can get to the guilt or the regret or the feelings of failure that motivate us to be better, then we can get out of that a little bit quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that. Thanks for sharing all those thoughts, Linnell. Brooklyn, hang on one sec. Abby, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what she was saying about failure. I think sometimes we get into this notion that failure's a bad thing, and it's actually one of the best things for us, because we realize, like, why did we fail? And we start asking questions, which is another part of learning. And just like when kids are learning to walk, how many times do they fail? And how many times do they get back up and keep trying? I think that's just so important thing that we need to keep ingrained in us, is failure's a good thing. It means we're learning and we're growing and we're moving forward. And asking questions is always going to help us to grow as well. And I've just started, looking at situations and asking, how could this have been better? What could I have done differently? What was good that happened? Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And that, my friend, that you just described is a growth mindset. And those of us who have fixed mindsets struggle with that. It's hard because we're not used to that and we don't think about things that way. But you're absolutely right. That's important to learn to think of things in that way. We're going to go to Brooklyn and then I'm going to read some of the comments. Brooklyn, sweetie, where'd you go? Did we just lose? There you are.
Sorry, I'm here. I couldn't get it unmuted. Just also adding to that, so I had a teacher in college, it was an acting class, and you could not get an A if you did not fail. So that was just something I was thinking about. And then I think along with that idea of guilt, I think it's Brene Brown that talks about shame. I can't remember exactly, but just that idea that like, we know that guilt is essential. It leads us to, in like sinning, it leads us to repent and stop like bad behavior. But I think there is a lot of that shame that's like not coming from a godly sorrow place, coming from like a worldly, like, how am I being perceived, or how is this? And I think that's definitely what is not helpful, because it's not really what's best for us. It's what we perceive is best or expected. That's not always positive.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so along these lines, and then I'll jump up to another comment up here that I loved. Okay, so Laura Lyons, a game changer for me in achieving goals is not tying my emotions to whether I fail. We have the power to think how we want to think when we don't reach a goal. Well, that's so true. How we choose to think and how we manage our thoughts when we fail determines how we move forward. What is your failure set point? Challenge yourself to fail 100 times before achieving a high goal. Achieving impossible goals is totally possible when we recognize how much power we have in choosing how we think about ourselves when we don't reach the goal. Sorry, my little arrow wasn't working. Yet when we don't reach the goal yet. This empowered me and liberated me in seeing all my failures as being neutral, not making it mean anything about me personally. Also learning that our thoughts create our emotions, not our circumstances. So yeah, your thoughts, man, make such a huge difference. There's so much power in our thoughts. Lindsay Watkins said, fail, F-A-I-L, for F-A, did I say that? F-A-I-L stands for first attempt in learning. I love that. That's so good. And then Michaela, as Abby was talking and as Brooklyn was talking, Michaela said, I think the difference is guilt and shame. So yeah, that was Brooklyn. Yes, Brene Brown is my girl. Read her books. Yeah, she has some amazing books, amazing podcasts, and every once in a while one that's a little bit like, but such truth, amazing, and all that stuff about shame. And that has no place in our lives. It is not a healthy response. So good. Lindsay Watkins, Proverbs 14:1. Stay there, Amy. Every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. Oh, that's so good. How have I missed that? That is so good. Okay, so we need to use our failed attempts to build our house. Beautiful. Okay, Amy Gabbitas, welcome, sweetie.
So I loved the routine part of life, and there'll be days where you're like, I only spend 20 minutes on this thing every day. But the momentum that comes from that consistency is invaluable. And it's so fun when all the pieces start to come together and you see, oh, that little bit of effort times a lot of time, then we start to see results. And the trick is to keep being motivated to try that. But if your whole point isn't achieving a giant goal, it's just being consistent because you know that's what you're supposed to be doing, you're going to see success.
Yes. And now, ladies, Amy was on that same thread where we learned about floors and ceilings, and Amy popped on, I don't know, several days ago, and was sharing about how she's just getting up, and if she doesn't have time to do the whole thing, whatever her thing was, we weren't talking specifically floors and ceilings, but it's the same thing, that she just does a little bit. She does a little bit of it so that she can check that thing off and know that she accomplished that thing that day. And I love that, Amy. I loved that example of consistency, but in the smallest possible way. So I'm going to go back to Jennifer Holliday's story because I loved this. I watched a story once about a 90-some-year-old woman who was in great shape, especially her heart, because she started at 30 years old and did as many jumping jacks as she was old. So that's, I'm like, okay, strap down. Then I could do jumping jacks. My daughter-in-law, who is breastfeeding currently. She and my son were out going through all their stuff as they're packing, getting ready to move this next Tuesday, Thursday. And they found jump ropes. So they went out, they both got the jump ropes and they started jumping rope. You know, she's nursing. Remember I said, she's like 2 jumps. She was like, okay, that's good. I'm good. So anyway, sorry. So this woman starts at 30 years old and did as many jumping jacks as she was old. So that's 50 something for me, 56 for me. Okay. So she started just with doing 1 more each birthday. So that's just adding 1 per year. So I set a goal. Remember, this is Jennifer Holiday. I set a goal to stretch in the shower every day. And I'm slowly, but consistently getting more flexible. That and reading my scriptures in the bathroom, because that's the only time I'm alone. That's so funny. So true. That's mom life, mom life, mom life. Okay. All right. So what else? Anybody else want to pop on and share something before I move forward? I'm going to share a little more about the floors and ceilings, but Abby, if you have to go, sweetie, it's been lovely having you here. She put, thanks, ladies. Loved being here today. Thanks for your laughs and encouragement. That's awesome. Okay, Rachel. Yep. And you don't have to raise your hand, but I will see you. So
I have a poem from this book.
Oh, great.
That's the way. Just a little every day. That's the way. Seeds in darkness swell and grow. Teeny blades push through the snow. Never any flower of May leaps to blossom in a burst. Slowly, slowly at the first. That's the way. Just a little every day. Just a little every day. That's the way. Children learn to read and write, bit by bit, mite by mite. Never anyone, I say, leaps to knowledge and its power. Slowly, slowly, hour by hour. That's the way. Just a little every day.
Ah, perfect. That is the perfect poem. So which book is that from?
This is book 5.
Book 5 in which series? Oh, Book of Delights. My Book of Delights.
Yeah. I love that one when I read it in January. It's on page 50.
And it's called what?
That's the way.
That was so beautiful. That just made me tear up immediately.
Don't you love it? I love it too.
It felt
it's so catchy too. I feel like I want to make it a song or something. I just get it stuck in my head. I'm like, just a little every day. That's the way. Yep. It's a good one.
I love that. And Cadence, thanks for commenting. I love it. Okay. Now, who else? Somebody else coming on? I heard something, but no. Okay, so let me share this little bit with you. So going back to Brooke Snow, what is a ceiling? She said a ceiling is your high ideals. That's great. We have high ideals. We should have high ideals. That's what motivates us to be better and do better, right? It's your big picture vision of a goal, a change, a new habit, some positive thing that you want to create in your life. Sorry, something's making noise over here. I think it's my son, something. It's who you want to be as the best version of yourself. It's the change you want to see in your life. So that's your ceiling. All right. So that's your big ceiling goal. Ceilings are good. They give us direction and orientation of something to work towards. This is what we are capable of accomplishing when we're feeling highly motivated and awesome. When we're feeling empowered and excited, this is what we are capable of when we have created the time for it and the habits for it. Okay. But what happens when we only have a ceiling? What happens on the days that you don't feel motivated? What about the times that you don't feel awesome and empowered and great? What about the days that you don't have time? What about the times that you feel sick or tired or not as capable? That's reality, right? All those things are reality. So when you only have ceilings in your life, life feels very hard. You lack the support a floor can bring. That makes sense, right? It's just, and the imagery of it is just beautiful, just simple. Okay, a floor is your tiny version of change. It's your tiny version of a habit. It's your short version of a practice. It's your bare minimum. We're so practiced at creating ceilings, but most of us never think of creating a floor. We think that scripture study is supposed to be a whole chapter or a whole 20 minutes. If we don't have time for that, we don't do it, right? That's so familiar to me. We think that exercise is supposed to be a whole workout or driving to a class at the gym. If we don't have time for that, we don't do it. We think that healthy eating is supposed to look like a perfect meal of organic vegetables made from scratch that you grew in your own garden. And if we don't have time for that, we don't do it. It's a perfectionist mindset. It's all or none, black and white, and goodness. It's so hard to live here. It's not compassionate or forgiving or flexible. And she's just so cute too. She's just very upbeat and very genuine. She said, floors, my friend, are the secret to consistency and building in positive change into your life. Floors give you support and a foundation for all the healthy habits and changes you want to implement. So, a floor is something that you can do under any circumstances. So she says how to create a floor. In creating a floor, think small. And then like Kristen said earlier, then go even smaller. So that takes care of those of us who always do too much, make it too long of a list, set those goals too high. So think small and then go even smaller. Okay. So, and then she reminds us, by small and simple things are great things brought to pass. And this is that compound effect, the compound effect. So do you think you could set some floor goals for yourself? And yes, Laura, thank you. Everyone's floors and ceilings will look different. Don't judge your floor based on someone else's ceiling. And we do that so often, right? Set ourselves up for failure. But can you see how setting a floor goal will help you this week get to the end of the week and say, I hit my goal every single day. I did it. I did it. For the longest time, I was overwhelmed by housework when my kids were little. And at one point, my husband helped me. We set the goal that I would just do the dishes every night before bed, even if I got in bed and remembered that I hadn't done it. I hadn't finished, and like maybe I'd done most of it, but I hadn't washed up the last few things that were in the sink, something like that, And I set the goal to make sure that the kitchen was clean every night before I went to bed. And that was, I don't know, 20 something years ago. I set that goal and I have never missed it. And I realized that when I was thinking about these goals, I thought, that stands out to me as this huge success that I have in my life. And all it is cleaning the kitchen every night before I go to bed. But because I did it consistently, I feel so good about it. And it was this tiny thing amidst 1,000 other things in my head that I thought, I was not doing well. But just being successful in one area of my life made such a difference. So think about how good you could feel if you just set a floor goal this week. Set a floor goal. What's an example that you've thought of in your head of a floor goal that you could set for yourself? And I loved Kristen's example. You're not drinking water. You want to get better about drinking water. So how much smaller could your floor goal be than to just fill up your water bottle? You don't have to drink it. You just have to fill it up. I love that example. It's so perfect. So what are some examples of some floor goals? Remembering everybody's are going to look different, but maybe this could give us some ideas of the kinds of things. Lindsay Watkins, you're so funny. Lindsay, you started to say something earlier.
Sometimes the sacrament water is all I get because I hate water. So I call it good. I was thinking about ceiling goals and floor goals, and when we're trying to study whether it's the scriptures or we're studying, whatever you're wanting to learn about, you know, like 20 minutes a day. Sometimes moms, we just don't have 20 minutes a day. And I looked up, if I read just 20 minutes a day, how many words would I actually read? And it said, if I read 20 minutes a day, every day for a year, I would read 1.8 million words. And that's a ton. Even if I cut that in half and I'm like, okay, I've got 10 minutes today, and I just do 10 minutes a day for a year, I've still got 9 million words coming in. I think it's easier to think about it if we can quantify it, because I think some of our floor goals or our ceiling goals, we just don't have that quantifying view of, okay, what would this look like? Okay, cleaning my kitchen every day for a year, that's huge. That is huge. For me, that would be big. But if you could put it in that perspective, okay, what would I gain? Because I think sometimes when we do set goals, we don't look at what you'll actually gain. Because most of my goals, it's like, well, what would I lose?
Yeah.
Not what would I gain? But I could handle 9 million words a year. I mean, think how much you would learn in that.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that, thinking about forward thinking. You know, what is it you could accomplish? You know, she says we need to have more wins in our life. When you put the floors in, you make it possible to win every day, multiple times a day. You make it possible to have a win, you know, in little things. They did that. Their family did it in their scripture study because they were sometimes struggling with their scripture study. So she said, we counted one verse, and she said they have one verse that is printed out somewhere in their kitchen. And some days it was just, we get together, we say that verse out loud because everybody has it memorized, and that's their scripture study for the day, and that counts, you know. Now Laura is reminding us of something good here too. Can I add one more thing? Even if you don't reach your floor goal, it means nothing about you. You can still decide that you're just as worthy, amazing, and capable if you don't achieve a floor goal. It really comes down to your mindset and choosing your thoughts about your failure and achievement. Also, your achievement doesn't mean anything about us either. Our value doesn't change based on what we do and whether or not we reach any of our goals. We are already amazing because we're daughters of God. Our worth is already set regardless. And I like that. We do need to remember who we are and that we have value just being, just existing. And we need to get to that point. And if you don't know that yet, that's a thing you can pray about. That was huge for me. Just praying and, oh yeah, we'll get that. Just praying and asking Heavenly Father to help you see how he sees you. And that's huge. And he'll do it. He'll help you to see that. You might have to be reminded every day for a while if you haven't understood and really embraced that yet. But ask him to show you and help you see and feel how he feels about you. And he will do that and you'll feel it. Now we are going off topic for a second. Cadence, I was curious too. Brooklyn's always doing something, just like her mother-in-law. Brooklyn, in the comments, it says, I'm curious about what Brooklyn is making. Are you able to share with us?
Sorry, my mute button is being so hard to push today. So my mother-in-law started this with me when I had my baby last year. When was it, Mom? I feel like she came out in August.
Is that the ottoman?
Yes. And I have been so scared of it. And so I haven't done it, but today I was like, I'm going to finish. So we have one of those mini trampolines in the basement, and we made this. I'll turn my video around, maybe this to go on top of it to turn it into an ottoman. So we made a skirt that just sits on the tramp, and this will sit on top of it. And then it can go downstairs and sit in front of our sectional when the kids aren't using it as a trampoline. And this fabric matches some other fabric we have in the basement. So yeah, it's just the hand sewing it closed that is left. And I needed to cut the foam down. We made it too big. And so that was the big holdup, but I finally cut the foam this morning. And so I'm going to try and sew it. And my mother-in-law's way better at sewing than me. So I was wishing that she could have done it when she was here, but it's going to be good practice. So.
Your mother-in-law, who's sitting over there sewing at this moment, always busy, and her kids all have a setup in that room where they can all be sewing. So I think that's so cool. And they all do it. Little Eliza, who stuck her head in there for a sec. They all do those things. But it is so smart. What a creative idea. Isn't that fun? So they have this mini trampoline that the kids can play around and jump on in the basement. And then they can cover it up and have it be this cute little ottoman that fits in with their decor. So I love it. How fun. Okay, hold on. Theme song for today, Not So Little. Ah, Rachel, where'd you go? Can you share?
Yeah, I just always have a theme song for, I feel like we should just sing every moment of our day. Wherever we go, we should just be singing. So I always have a song, like, and I thought of that one. It's a really good one. So listen to it when this is done.
I love it. Do you sing? Like, are you comfortable singing, or would that like totally freak you out to share that with us?
Oh, I don't, it doesn't freak me out, but I don't know if I want to.
You don't have to, you know that. Nobody ever has to do anything on here.
I mean, I could just sing part of it, I guess. Can you hear the music? It's simple things that matter most in life. It's the subtle things, the day to day, that keep us in the light. It's not the love we get, the miraculous, that's gonna save our souls. It's the little things, the slim things, that help us grow. Every little prayer you say, every good choice you make, every good step you take, is a difference, such a difference. Little good thing you do. Anyway,
I love it. I love it. Thank you. And thanks for sharing. And I love the idea.
I really like to dance to that one. It's fun. Usually dance in my living room. So it's good. When I've had a hard day and I feel like I failed at everything, I'm like, oh, I did something. I'm here alive and my kids are in bed and they're happy and it's okay.
And you dance by yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. And some of us dance with our kids, and have dance parties. I don't know if you're on Instagram, did you notice that my little image that I put for the reminder about the meeting was a picture from Just Dance, which I play with my kids, which I think is just fun. I'm so excited. But anyway, okay, Lindsay. Oh no, Cadence.
I just want to say, maybe this is why I love so much movies with a soundtrack, or where they sing during their life. It just feels so natural. I remember when I first got a Walkman, and this is, a long while ago, but it was so exciting to like listen to music while you were walking somewhere. It was like, oh, my life is a movie. This is amazing. Like, I feel like that's how life really should be. We should have this amazing music to our life, theme song to our life. Anyway, so I want to share that, but I just love it. Thank you for singing for us.
I love it. And I love that you sang it for us. I remember being in Home Depot and I was looking at something and the store was kind of quiet and I heard singing and that got closer, and then it came around the corner and it was just one of the workers and she was just walking along singing. And I thought, oh, I love that. I love that you are just so full of these positive feelings and you are comfortable just letting that out. And some of my family members are like that. And I'm just such a big chicken. So Brooklyn, I'm sure she sings all the time. Kristen sings, her kids all sing. They just go around singing. Amy, she would be singing all the time. Now we know Rachel goes around singing. I do have a question for you. If there were a soundtrack to your life, what would it be? What would your theme, be? That's a thing I want to think about. What would that be? What would it sound like? What would it be? It would be a song, like if it was a song right now, what would that song be that would be playing along in the background as you, move along through your life? I just think that's a fun thought. Cadence.
Right now, the theme of my life is the Magnificent Seven theme. And it's just so motivating. I'm like, yes, I can get the dishes done. We're gonna have an awesome day. I don't know, it changes all the time, but that's what our theme song is right now. No one can get it out of their heads.
Or you could do Copeland. Beef. It's what's for dinner. Oh, good. Okay, now I know what's for dinner. You guys know that theme song?
Yeah.
That's how I first learned it. So when I heard it, I was like, that's like the beef commercial that I heard when I was a kid.
Right.
Sorry.
No, that's so funny how some of those familiar songs were put on commercials, and that's how we relate them.
Yep.
That's hilarious. And then Lindsay put, some days it's the Sound of Music, other days it's Jaws. Perfect. Anybody else have a theme song? It's the theme song for your life. And yeah, ever changing, right? Depends on the day.
I don't know if you guys have ever tried it with your kids, but if you just turn on music when they're playing, it makes their play so much more magical, like especially soundtrack music. Try like Hook or something. My kids love that. They like start to fly and all these magical things happen. It's wonderful.
That's awesome. I love that. I put on Enchanted all the time because I love that she is just so cheerful, so pleasant, so happy, and she's singing. And I love the whole part through Central Park, you know, as she's singing. And anyway, and everybody joins in, and that is just super. I don't know. That's really, truly a very good insight into me and my ideal world. Would be that. I would just absolutely love it. Oh, Greatest Showman. There we go. What did I put down here? Oh, come on, Lori. Oh, I don't know. I can't even read my own writing. Okay. Anyway, thoughts, more ideas about music, themes? I think putting on music is so smart. Oh, I remember. My sister would do this thing and she just thought it was so funny. So like if I was over at her house and her kids would be, you know, in the other room or in the room with us, but across the room doing something, she would just kind of quietly start humming a song or something, you know, or sing a little bit of a song, just kind of quietly. And she would do that a few times here and there. And I was wondering what the heck she was doing. And then all of a sudden, one of her kids would start humming or singing that song and she'd be like, gotcha. And she would just play that game with her kids, try to get them to get whatever song that was in their heads, you know, enough that they would start singing it. Anyway, Monica, thanks for joining us. It was lovely having you here. Good luck with this next week. You moms are wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Find fun things you can do with your kids. The family dinner thing that we talked about, where you come to dinner as a different person, you know, that Lindsay Watkins did with her kids, which is so funny. Try that, you know, have a different personality, come to dinner, have just a fun new experience, maybe play a soundtrack during dinner, you know, decide what your soundtrack is for tonight, you know, during activities or things that you do with your family. Maybe try putting on music, see what that does for your family. I love it. Let's see. Mine as a mama is I'm the Lucky One by JJ Heller. Love her music. It speaks to my soul. That was Jennifer Holiday. Monica, oh, sorry, I got Monica. Oh, Jennifer, I'm sorry. She changes. It's actually, I get to be the one. Okay. And she shared it. Wonderful. You girls are amazing. Okay. Floor goals. Just an idea. Listen to the podcast, see if it speaks to your soul, see if it helps you. Because if you don't have that growth mindset yet, you know, and Laura, my goodness, such a great example and such good information there. But I have a fixed mindset and I struggle to get out of that. So for me, those floor goals are gold. To help me learn how to see things differently and to have those small wins every day. You know, I just love that, to see that compound effect happening, tiny, small, and simple things, you know. But showing yourself grace is the way to go. Got to forgive yourself, come back and begin again. Remember that from last week? Forgive yourself, come back and begin again. That's how we can be successful in this crazy life. Any other comments, moms? Anybody else have something they want to share? Oh, so I'm going to type a few things in the comments. The podcast we're talking about is The one is Brooks Snow, Floors and Ceilings. And what did I just say? Oh, and then the other thing, the Forgive Yourself. Oops, come back. Begin Again is from, oh well, close enough. Is from a spiritual Christian meditation app called Small Seed Simple. Am I getting that right? Is somebody, Lindsay, are you not?
Small Seeds Still, I think is what.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Somebody else got it.
Yeah, Small Seed Still. Thanks, ladies. I love it. Oh, Rachel, thank you. Small Seed Still, Christian meditation app, gives you some pointers on how to meditate in a Christian way, you know, and it's beautiful. And it just reminds you that meditation exercise, doing a little bit of that every day is such a great practice, because just simply that act of meditating, just like I mentioned last week, prayer, we often get distracted. Our thoughts just kind of go somewhere else. We get distracted. So we have this opportunity over and over and over again to practice forgiveness, to forgive ourselves, to come back and begin again and realize that that's okay. And it's a wonderful reminder for us. We get distracted from anything in our lives. We forgive ourselves. We come back and we begin again. It's just such a nurturing and wonderful way to move through life. Any other comments, mamas? Yes, Laura, thank you.
Okay, it's finally quiet over here. So I just wanted to comment about the music. This is something that I have been thinking a lot about recently. And it's interesting because music is so powerful, but it's not necessarily the music that's powerful, but the lyrics. And it's interesting because music that doesn't have lyrics is also very powerful, but it's not the music that is stirring our emotions, but it's the thoughts that we're having when we listen to that music. And that's why some music can be powerful for some people and not for others. And it can be a totally different experience for different people because we're all having such different thoughts about that music, and that's creating our experience of that music, if that makes sense. And so it's interesting that the lyrics of songs is so important because we can really retrain and rewire our brain through our thoughts, and we can feel according to what we're thinking. And so if we're choosing music that has, like, that's why people will have like favorite songs that we just talked about, like certain songs that are favorites of yours are because those words speak to you and you believe them, whereas somebody else might listen to it and it doesn't speak to them because it doesn't line up with their beliefs. Yeah. And what you believe. And so if you want to rewire your thoughts and you want to retrain your brain to think differently, music is so powerful, but really it's those lyrics that, I don't know if that makes sense, but lyrics really are like a thought is a sentence in your brain, and a lyric are examples of thoughts that we get stuck in our head, and eventually the more we think about it, we eventually can believe it. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense as far as like retraining your brain and thinking intentionally through music. So
Oh, I love that. And we have a lot of people who are connected to music here and that listen in later. And so that's a great comment. I love that. I appreciate that. And then when it's classical music or any kind of music without the lyrics, like you said, what it either reminds you of, what the thoughts that it brings to you, those are the things that come up, I think, when we listen to that. Because I listen to a lot of music without lyrics, but I listen to it because it brings me back to certain feelings and thoughts and ideas, you know. And so that's what I think about when I hear that music. Yeah, so it definitely makes sense. And that it would help with that rewiring music because it's so linear, right? There are studies that have been done about that, about how music helps you because of how it's written and how it lines up. I don't know all the details. I don't know if Amy's close by, but she probably knows that. Kristen might too, Brooklyn might, but about the powerful effects of music and why it works so well with our human brains, you know.
I think you might be talking about how like your emotions drive your actions create your results and your behaviors and your result or your experience. But yeah, it all ties back to how we're thinking, which drives all of that. It's a kind of a domino effect.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that, Laura. I love it. Brooklyn, you unmuted.
Oh, I was just going to add to that. I would go a step farther and say that the music and the lyrics both can affect you, because I know that like Hamilton, I think is really cool, but I actually don't like listening to it a lot because the music is harder than what I want to have playing in my home all the time.
As much as you love the messages and the lyrics.
Right. And so, or you can have some music that you really like, but if the lyrics are giving you a message. So I feel like music is really powerful, and it's a two-edged sword, and you want to find the songs that have both of those things working for you. So that you have the conscious thoughts that it's giving you, but then also the subconscious. I know there have been studies done on how lyric-less music makes plants grow better. And so that's just the music itself, like the beat and that kind of thing.
Yeah, interesting. Isn't that so interesting? All those different lessons that you can pull out of music, the blessings and the power that is there with the lyrics and with the music and the combinations. And, I love that. But I think there's great power in music and beautiful music and lyrics. We wouldn't have poetry as one of our, the items on the list of the heartwarming thing if it didn't make such a difference. And lyrics are a form of poetry put to music, right? And so it has that great power. And like Laura was saying, if it speaks to you, if it's something that's a truth that you know to be true, then it has even greater power for you. And I love that. But I love music. I love listening to music. One of mine that I put on, so one of my soundtracks for my life is the soundtrack to Sense and Sensibility. I just love that music. I love that music. It's so beautiful.
Which version? What year? Which one?
Oh, the one with Emma. I don't remember. What's her name? Brooklyn.
Emma Thompson and Hugh Grant.
Yes. And Emma Thompson wrote that screenplay for that and like directed. She's so amazing. Amazing. But anyway, I love that. I sit and I just imagine things. When I got to go to England and I was walking through the hills of England and the green grass and the hedges that were separating the property and the sheep over here and, all that. Oh my goodness. That music was playing loud as my soundtrack as I was experiencing that day. And that may be the only day in my life that ever happens. And that's all right. I'll carry that with me till to the grave and beyond. Anyway, but yeah, music has such power. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. Other thoughts? Okay, Cassie. Okay, this is good. I wish I could be the fun dance and sing around type of mom, but fun seems to be way out of my comfort zone, especially goofiness, which is such a trait of childhood. Thank goodness for my husband who embraces all of that. I may need to set some sort of floor goal to work towards letting go and not being so uptight. Any advice? Okay, that's not going to come from me. I am just beginning to learn to let go. I am not fun. That is fun. Does that have any of my family members who are on here ever thought of that as a descriptive term for me or Lindsay? Don't anybody jump on so fast and answer that though. But it's not. I feel like I don't know how to do that. I'm very uptight in that kind of way. And I'm realizing, and you probably have this also, there are elements about you that probably are fun. And there are probably some ways that you would learn if you could learn to let go of whatever it is that's making you feel like I can't go beyond this boundary, So mamas that do know how to have fun, can you share with Cassie maybe some ideas, some little suggestions of some floor goals that Cassie could learn to be fun and all learn in the process?
I have one from my mom. I mean, I was too young to know the story, but she just always felt like she was just drowning in life, and she still does actually. She really struggles, but when we were kids, we were all making a mess. That's what kids do, especially toddlers. They get like food everywhere, all over the floor. And anyway, so we had these little pop-up toys, those ones you turn them or you push it and it pops up. Well, we had those, and I guess one of us, I don't know which one of it was me or my sisters, but I guess we would cram Cheerios in there. And she was really frustrated by that, of course, because like we're getting food all over our toys. But once she started to see it through our eyes, like that we were feeding the little like pop-up, like I think it was a Sesame Street one, and we were like feeding Oscar the Grouch and Elmo. So anyway, like we were feeding him Cheerios. We weren't just cramming him there. So I think if you like try to look from your child's perspective, it can really help you to maybe loosen up a little. Which, I mean, that didn't make the mess go away just because she was like, oh, they're feeding him Cheerios. How fun. I still am bothered by that. But, you know, I think it made it better just trying to understand like maybe why your child's doing that. They're not trying to upset you or like ruin your house. They're just imagining and having fun. And you can have expectations and limits too. But yeah, you want to try to just see from their perspective maybe why they're doing something, and maybe that will help you loosen up. I don't know. I just think of that. I thought of that a lot when my kids were toddlers. Just my mom telling me that story. It helped me get through the toddler years of all the books being ripped off the shelves and just big messes everywhere constantly. So
I love that, Rachel. Thanks for sharing that. That's really good to change your perspective. Okay, Brooklyn and Kristen, you guys are gonna have to fight it out for who goes first.
I'll let Brooklyn go first.
I actually feel like I'm not very good at this either. And something that we've been trying to do. So I have a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 8-month-old. And we have been trying to implement boundaries that I am not involved in so that I can just be, I guess it depends on what you feel like you're not fun at. I feel like I spend too much time like enforcing rules and cleaning messes and taking care of tasks. And so things like, for example, nighttime just drags on forever. And we feel like it takes an hour and a half to get the kids to bed. So we've started setting a timer, and we get their toothbrushes ready and they have their pajamas out. And if they have everything on and ready to go by the timer, then we can play a game and read a story. And if they don't, they just have to go straight to bed. And so that's helped me like be able to have my interactions with my kids be more fun instead of just be like the enforcer or the, I don't know. So that's, I'm not very good at it, but that's kind of what we've been working on doing in our own house.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Brooklyn. Kristen.
So I have an experience that isn't motherhood, but it relates. So just recently I was asked to minister to a lady in our neighborhood who is very homebound. And it's a little intimidating. Nobody has wanted to do it for a while because my neighbor who used to live across the street from me, who was amazing, used to do that. And she would call this lady every single day. And, you know, so the first time I went into this and visited with this lady, in fact, every time I go, she talks about Roz and all the wonderful things Roz used to do.
Oh.
And Roz at that time had an Infinity, a little sporty Infinity. And this lady sitting in her garage has a Corvette that she hasn't been able to drive for years, but and now she can't walk even to go down her basement or her garage steps, but she would go just sit in her Corvette because she loves cars so much. And so she's this 70-something-year-old lady, and she has this Corvette and she loves it. But Roz would take her out in her Infinity and drive really fast because Roz loves to drive fast. And this lady, Sue, just loved that. And at first, as she would tell me these other stories like that about Roz, well, Roz is this kind of goofy, funny personality, you know? And I would feel like, well, okay, two things. For one, that's not me. I don't drive fast. I don't want to drive fast. And I drive a minivan, you know? I mean, it's not gonna happen. And I felt so intimidated the first few times I went and talked to her of, I'm not Roz. I'm not as kind of goofy as Roz is sometimes. But the more I visit with her and things, I've felt like that is damaging to us when we see I don't have this personality trait. I'm not fun. Then we're going to keep building on that. Mm-hmm. And instead we need to look for the things that we do like to do. Or the things, you know, if you don't feel like you're a fun person and you're not going to feel comfortable dancing in the kitchen. I don't ever dance in the kitchen with my kids, do I, girls? No. but there are things that I like to do, and we have a different kind of fun together. And so the kind of fun that I have with my kids is going to be different than the kind of fun that Roz had with her kids, or that somebody else has with theirs. We have different talents and different abilities. And it's easy to start just saying, oh, I'm not a fun person. Instead, let's look for the things that we can do that, anyway, I'm repeating myself.
No. Kristen, do me a favor. Look in the comments, and will you read for us Laura Lyons' comments about that? She's so wise. She really is, and has a really good way of sharing things. Do you see that?
Yeah, fun is up for interpretation. You could be the most fun mom in your perspective, and your kids could have a totally different idea of fun. Try not to judge your feeling of fun based on an external opinion. You can decide you are fun, and guess what? You'll naturally be more fun because you're not thinking about it or worrying about it. I love that. And you know what? I'm going to give an example. So my son, Jason, who's married to Brooklyn, and Brooklyn actually does this too, as they read stories to their kids. I mean, Jason has these amazing voices, and every person has a different voice. And I honestly have listened to Jason, and Brooklyn is so great about sending us Marco Polos of her kids. So I'll see him reading to them all the time and stuff. And I often have felt like, oh, he didn't get that from his mom, because I never read to him that way. And I feel a little bit down on myself that I'm not, that I never was that great at reading to I mean, I read to him all the time, just very boring or whatever. But just recently, Brooklyn sent us a Marco Polo of Jason reading to her kids. And I hear little Rebecca saying, Daddy, use your regular voice. Daddy, will you use your regular voice? And I felt like, you know what? We all think, oh, that would be so much better to be that way. And I'm not saying it's not good and that he should stop, because it's wonderful. But, anyway, it's all up for interpretation.
That's so funny. I love that. I love it. Okay, so hold on. Lindsay Watkins says, come on, a few minivan donuts in the church parking lot could be fun. Kristen, that was for you. And then Cadence, a lot of the time I'm serious because I feel that if I take something seriously, then I am committed to it. I guess I mean that I can seem too serious, but it is only me wanting to do the best I can at motherhood. But I think it is definitely a skill that I can develop. Well-educated heart has been so helpful in terms of teaching children or interacting with children. I didn't know how to do that. And now I'm serving as primary president, which would have scared me to death 5 years ago, but now I'm okay. It's still hard sometimes, but nothing like what it was before. I think, for example, I still don't like the mess of crafts, but now we do some because I can see the value of it. Yeah. And Rachel Holloway, my battery is going to die soon. I'm not near my charger in case I don't get to say so live. Thank you all so much for your words of wisdom and the hope you have filled me with. I am so grateful for each of you. Rachel, you're wonderful. We love you. Sorry, I'm peeking around my camera so I can see you. I love it. And Rachel, did you want to come on for a second and say something now that you're not teary?
Oh, I think my phone, it's gonna cut me off, but thank you all very much. I think I just was feeling super emotional, all the feels, all the things, and yeah.
Like every other day.
So thank you all very much.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to connect. Really, really good. And Laura, I'm so glad you came on and you shared, and I love your resilience tips for kids. So moms, if you don't have that, I will include Laura's email offer again, and you can get 5 days of those emails where she gives you these tips for creating, helping your kids be resilient. And it's just wonderful, wonderful resource. Oh, Cadence, bye, sweetie. I think we're going. My little granddaughter is making noises downstairs, which means she's down there. So I get to go hold her. Any moms though want to pop on and share something? Do you see my cute little nieces over there? Eliza and Emily. Hi, girlies. So cute. Any other moms?
I just was wondering I had a question for Cassie. I was wondering, what kind of fun mom things would you like to do? What image do you have of a fun mom that you aren't right now?
Let me move to a quieter spot.
You're okay. That wasn't loud background noise.
But I don't know. I guess I always see like it just seems like there's a lot more carefreeness and energy in some other moms or family members of mine, and they're just able to let go and embrace whatever maybe the child's playing. I am not into child's play, imaginary play. The I'm okay with turning on some music and encouraging my children to have dance parties and cheering them on. But I guess it's just like I feel like there's a tension in me or like a zipper that I need to like zip down or let go to just be more carefree. And I've been working on it for a long time, just like trying to gain that perspective, like look through the child's eye, like someone had mentioned. But it's such a process. Just like simplifying and decluttering my home has been years of a process. So it's just being more childlike, I guess. I don't like childlike behaviors and childlike play very much.
You know, I've seen a few posts come up, and Linnell, thank you for asking her that question. Sometimes I forget to go back and ask just those specific things. But I've seen some posts of some moms really feeling guilty, even asking the question and saying, is there anybody else out there who doesn't like to sit down and play with their kids? Like, who doesn't want to do that imaginative play? Is there anybody else out there that feels that way? And there's like pop, 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 all these comments come up like, yes, me too, me too, me too, you know, and this relief that, oh, I'm not the only one, you know. So you are not the only mom that feels that way. But that idea of comparing, you know, that I put comparison is the thief of joy. And it really is that comparing ourselves to somebody else can take away from, you know, from finding out us, who we are. And I'm glad Laura made a comment. I was hoping you would, Laura. Each of us has unique gifts and genius. Tune into what's your genius, your gift to the world. Spend your energy focusing on what you do enjoy and are good at. It's okay to not enjoy those things without feeling shame. So good. And I joke around about me not being fun, you know, and because for a while my kids would be like, you know, but you're not fun like dad. I was like, yep, I'm not. And I finally became comfortable with that. And I realized that there are things about me that I like and that my kids like, and that's just fine, you know. And I'm learning to accept that and not feel like, oh, something is lacking in me if I can't have all the same descriptive words as the person next to me, you know. We're not all supposed to be alike, you know, cookie cutter and everything. If you see a thing in somebody else that you think, I love that, I want more of that in my life, that's not a bad thing, you know. But for us to look at ourselves and think that we're somehow less worthy or less of a person because we don't have that same quality. I don't know. Laura, Linnell, Rachel, Lindsay, anybody, do you have thoughts about that? Because I obviously struggled with that for a long time. So those of you who are a little bit maybe understand that better, a little more grounded in that, can you share some more with us, with Cassie and with me and the rest of us?
Go ahead, Laura. So this is pretty personal, but I was talking about my mom earlier. So my mom has mental illness. So I feel like I needed other mothers to feel like I had a mother sometimes, but they never replaced her. Like, I just wanted my mom. I just wanted her strengths and who she was. And no one could replace her, even though my grandma was such a mother to me. Like, she would just take us in, let us spend the night, let us spend the summer, whatever like my mom needed. My grandma would just take us and help us to have some consistency. But I think like what my mom brought to the table was, I think, why music is so special to me, because she could just make up a jingle and make up a song, and we would always do music together and sing together. She would play the piano, and I didn't have any rhythm. And so she would always play for me and make up whatever rhythm I was doing. And no one would notice because she would just cover it up with the piano. So it was really nice. We made a good pair, but I just think about her and maybe I could pick her apart and like, oh, you weren't this kind of mom and you didn't do this and you didn't have a clean house and you didn't ask me how my day was after school or whatever things. I could do that, but I think we just need to think of the things we do as moms and that we can't be replaced, even though there'll be other wonderful moms that will touch the lives of our children, whether it be that their aunts or grandmas or teachers that they love and that are wonderful mothers too. But yeah, no one can take your place as your mother to your, as a mother to your children. So anyway, that's what I have to say about that.
I love that, Rachel. That's so very sweet and very tender. Thanks for sharing something so personal. But I think that's a good reminder for all of us moms, is that we are the moms for our children for a reason, because there are some unique gifts, some unique things that we will share with them, give to them by just our being there in their lives that nobody else can. And that's significant. Laura.
My thoughts are all over the place, so I'm sorry if I deviate, but I have a similar experience. My mother has kind of been in fact, I was just talking to her for a little bit. It's been kind of rough. My relationship with her is not very good. And she raised me, at least in my mind. I grew up thinking confidence was bad, was like pride. And she always would say, we are the dust of the earth, like the scriptures say. And I feel like she misunderstood the way, or I misunderstood the way that was taught to me as being like, it is more worthy to feel shame and to feel that we are nothing, and to think less of ourselves and to think more of others. And so that's where my work kind of, I'm a confidence coach and I work with moms on their confidence, because I believe that if you peel back the layers of any problem in our lives, you will get back to how we feel about ourselves and our relationship with God and who we are. And I think that's why as a church, like that we teach children, I am a child of God. We teach our youth, we are daughters of our Heavenly Father. Like it all goes back to who we are. And when we truly believe, you know, that we have worth and that our worth is not tied to anything external, the way people think about us, the way people talk about us, how somebody else, anything like external. But when we can reach down and dig deep inside of us, that value and that our confidence and our love for ourselves is tied to God, and that we can choose how we think about ourselves no matter what happens on the outside, then that leads to a greater sense of love for ourselves, which also leads to more compassion for ourselves when we make mistakes and when we do fail. And then also it leads to us feeling that same compassion and love for other people around us and to be less judgmental towards others. Anyways, this, like, I could go on and on about this, but that is kind of, those are my thoughts.
It's beautiful. I love that, Laura. And that's because, you know, you get down to that very core. That is the one true story. You know, all the other stories, all the other feelings we have in our lives come about because of the stories that we tell ourselves, you know, which have some truth in them maybe, but a lot of things that really aren't true. But that core feeling, that relationship between us and God, and the fact that He loves us, is that most important thing. And that's kind of the starting point. And if you're starting from the outside and trying to work in, it doesn't work that way. You have to go back to that core and start from the inside. I love those thoughts, Laura. Thank you for sharing. And Linnell, you were going to share.
Yeah, thanks. The reason I asked Cassie was because I feel like there's lots of different definitions of fun mom. And I could relate to what she explained. What she was expressing, because I have felt that way before too. And so I listened to a podcast once that helped me. It was from 3 and 30 podcast for moms. And I really like her setup because she just does 30 minutes and she gives you 3 actionable takeaways. So one of the podcasts I listened to was talking about kind of this idea of just observing a fun mom. And so she asked this question, or at least it made me think, what does a fun mom look like to you? And she gave a specific example of, does it look like jumping in the pool with your kids? Or does it look like having a dance party in the kitchen? Just kind of to define that. And
Yeah.
then once you can figure out what that looks like to you, ask yourself, well, why don't you do that? It could be because you don't like the mess. It could be because you don't know how to swim. It could be because you don't know how to dance. Whatever the reason is that's holding you back, you can kind of address that. And then ask yourself, well, do I want to do that? Do I want to learn that? Do I want to figure out how to do that? And then try it. And then once you try it, if you like it, then great, you learned something new and then you are a fun mom now. But if you try it and you don't really like it and it doesn't really feel natural to you, then you can let go of it and try something else. So that tip alone has helped me to start incorporating some things that I thought would, oh, I want to be that kind of mom. And then I try it and wow, I'm that fun mom now. And then there are other things like, oh, that was a little bit too stressful for me, or that was really overwhelming and I didn't like that. And so then I can kind of learn and become the kind of mom that I envision for myself. And it's really rewarding to take that journey and to just figure out and develop into the kind of mom that I want to be.
Now, I love that. I like that idea. And I think that makes sense. And I think Laura is talking about that kind of idea too, is exploring that thing, that thought, that question more. And I think that's super valuable. I have worked through that in a couple of things with my husband as I've talked to him about some things. And I've learned in some of those categories that maybe I look at somebody else and I think, oh, but they do this, but then if I take the time to explore it, I realize, oh, I wouldn't want to do that. That's not me. I'm not comfortable with that, or I'm fine that I don't do that, but I've just never thought about it enough, So I think learning how to explore those things is really beneficial. I love that, Linnell. And Linnell, we're being asked here, what was the name of that podcast? Did you say 3 and 30?
Yes, 3 and 30 podcast for moms. I was looking up her last name, but it's by Rachel, and I'm going to look it up right now so I can
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
give you
That's
right.
where you were black. Okay. So she'll come back with that for sure. Okay. Great discussions, great topics, lots of things coming up, lots of wonderful women here. And, thank you mostly for being vulnerable, for being real. The thing that I think is absolutely amazing about this group and so unique, there are reasons some of us are black, there's stuff going on that we just can't, we're driving or we've got, whatever. But for the most part, our screens are on and we are real, we are vulnerable, we are sincere because we feel safe here. And that's not normal for a Zoom meeting. It just doesn't happen a lot. But we have been brought together, we really have been. And it's for a reason, and that picture that we got last week from Linnell talking about, we were what'd you say, locking arms, and moving forward, we feel the support that we are getting from one another. We all have different backgrounds, we have different stories, different things going on in our lives, different priorities even, when it comes down to specifics. But generally, we have similar goals, and we all want to find out what our place is here, what our role is, what we're supposed to be doing. Kristen. Oh, okay. Okay, just checking. If you come near the camera when you're not busy in the middle of something, I think, oh, great, we can hear from Kristen. 3 and 30 takeaways for moms by Rachel Nielsen. Okay, wonderful. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, great. Any other little sharings before we go here? We made it to 2 hours. Somehow we hang on. We're just, loving that time that we get to spend together. Thank you for showing up.
I would put this in the chat if it weren't the end, but now I'm afraid she won't see it. Lindsay Bunting, your hair is really cute. I like it.
It is, isn't it? I was going to tell her too. Thank you for mentioning that, Kristen. It is really cute. Did you just go see Katie?
I did, but of course, you know how it is. Like the first day they do it and they did it all cute with a wand, and now I have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah. First day, my hair looks great. After that, it's just me. So that's all you get. No, you look adorable.
Thanks. And while I'm unmuted, I keep meaning to throw in these like 2 more podcasts that I listened to this morning that I feel like just help with all the things we've been talking about. It's also both were Brooke Snow episodes.
And the one you put on Instagram this week, our heavenly team. And oh my goodness, so powerful. The idea that if we were to lift the veil, all these angels that are helping us in everything we do, every aspect of our lives, we can call upon, she talked about how she was writing a book. She called on the writing angels, and we can call upon our mom angels to help us with our little ones. And we have angels helping us. And the other one was say it to create it, talking about affirmations. And just because we feel overwhelmed doesn't mean that we have to say that we are overwhelmed. Like the statement I am is such a sacred statement, and how she explains that, and saying like I am supported and I am love, and those types of things will help us. Or I am fun. I started thinking about that when we were talking about being a fun mom. We can just say to ourselves, I am a fun mom. And just those daily affirmations. I've always been terrible at being consistent with those, but I just liked that podcast and how she explained the power of it.
I love it. I love it. I've been listening to her podcasts for a couple weeks now. That's all, but still is a couple weeks. And I've listened to so many, and they're powerful, simple, but powerful. Okay. Anything else, mamas? We're going to have a great week. We're going to have all kinds of problems and junk come up because that's life, but when that happens this week, just say, that's all right. That was expected, and I can move on. Right? Don't let it bring you down, because we're all experiencing it. It's happening to all of us. Satan is looking at this and seeing, hold on a second. The moms are coming together. They're rising up. I have an army that is rising up against me. I got to stop this. I'll get involved in their personal lives and I'll start trying to tear them down. Recognize the source and toss it aside and move forward. Oh, baby Clara. Any other parting thoughts? Words of wisdom? Eliza, you have some wonderful thing to share with us. Isn't she darling? Eliza is how old?
She's 14, and she just heard you say baby Clara, so she had to come see her niece.
I know. That wasn't fair to take advantage of you like that, Eliza. I'm not going to make you say anything, sweetie. You can come look at Clara, I promise. But Eliza is 14, and she is just a lovely, sweet girl. She's talented, and she's just, I don't know, she's just like this pure, wonderful, sweet girl. Anyway, not perfect. None of us are perfect, but I have yet to personally see any flaws. But anyway, she's just darling. So much fun. Okay. Are we good? We're going to go and we're going to be successful. Okay. I love you, mamas. Thanks for coming. Thanks for showing up. Invite your friends. It feels good to feel supported, to know you're not alone, to know you're doing fine. And Laura, thank you so much. Thanks for coming. I know you're busy and you got stuff going on, but I really appreciate you. And I appreciate that gift of those resilience tips. Rachel, you too. Thank you. And thank you for sharing your We Heart share. I love that. I think that's a great way for moms and kids to start seeing, oh, I'm not alone. Other people are doing this, and to share and warm hearts by sharing our talents. I love that. We can get Brooklyn involved in that too. That would be something that would be right up Brooklyn's alley. I'll have to put the two of you together. You might want to maybe connect personally. Rachel Stevens, Brooklyn, she shares she just started a We Heart Share group on Facebook, and 2 times a month they get together and they try to highlight some talents, hobbies, things like that the kids are doing. And so the kids get a chance to kind of perform on camera with other kids, involved in connecting and things like that. Brooklyn played in the Playhouse Theater is that what it's called? Playmill in Yellowstone. Yeah, everybody getting family thumbs up. Yeah. So Brooklyn's got all kinds of talent just oozing out of every part of her. So she would be a good adult for you to bring on there, Rachel, and to connect with. So anyway, sorry, just wanted to make sure those personal connections get made here while we're on camera. So as always, I'll stay on for a few minutes if people need time to connect, or if there's other things you want to share that you just don't want to share out there in the whole with everybody. So anyway, but thank you. Thanks for being here. It was wonderful. Have a great week. I want to do this tomorrow. You guys want to meet here same time tomorrow?